Hey, it's liberation time. Let's get started. It's Scott Beebe, your host of the Business on Purpose podcast. Always join us, mybusinessonpurpose.com/vision. I have the privilege of working with heroic small business owners all day, pretty much every day. It is a privilege. It is a responsibility. It is something that I take incredibly seriously. I don't mess around with it. And there's a reason. It's because I think small business owners are called to a level of leadership. They're called to a level of influence. And quite frankly, they touch too many lives to really take it lightly. And so with that being said, when we look at the skill set of a heroic small business owner, we've got to start training our minds a little bit differently. A lot of times we think of a skill set of a heroic small business owner being things like, well, they can really make money, or they have a real mind for innovation, or they can spot trends way before they happen. So it's kind of the gadgety stuff, the I hate to call it this, but kind of the voodoo stuff. We think they've got the magic. You know, they have the touch. They have the touch. I don't know what it is. Is there an element of that? Maybe. I don't know, but there's no way to objectify this. Here's what I do know. If you put the business owner with these four capabilities, this is the type of business that a lot of people would be wise to invest in. So let's lay out what that looks like. And I'm going to put it into a format here. And I'm going to call it STYRA. It means nothing, by the way, but it's just a way for me to remember these 5 points that we've kind of drawn together as time has gone on. Number one, and some of you may disagree with me on this. That's okay. This is our take from what we've seen based on our experience. Number one, there's got to be a spiritual element to the small business owner. Why? There is so much within small business that is by faith. Going into new markets by faith, creating new products by faith, hiring new people by faith. Man, it'd be really hard to live life as a crapshoot, where everything's just kind of throw it against the wall and let's see what sticks. And again, I realize there are many that would push back against it. I understand that you have the right to push back. I also understand that in our experience, those who have got a spiritual foundation have a level of stability in that foundation that I really like. The second thing is the T. And this idea, so once they've got a spiritual foundation, then they've got a mind for training, relentless training over and over again, taking the smallest little things. And I had a small business owner ask me today, well, what do I train? If I'm training every week, what do I train on? And we literally walked through, it's a heavy equipment business, we literally walked through tractor maintenance, truck maintenance, how to approach a customer. And I rattled off 12 things. I'm not even the business owner. Rattled off 12 things just by looking around the yard. Training is everywhere. How do I know what to train? The next person who says, how do I ... there's your training manual. That's what you train on, are the things that your team needs to know in order to be able to do a great work within your business. Third thing, spiritual foundation, relentless training, the T. Third thing is constant implementation, the I. Implement. You've heard me say it 100 times. Joe Calloway, vision without implementation is hallucination. Implementation is the pull through on any idea. Ideas are stagnant. Ideas sit there until they're implemented. Where there is no implementation, there is no action towards the vision. There could be action, but it's not towards the vision. It's haphazard. And if it is towards the vision, it's purely by happenstance or grace. Implementation. So we've got a spiritual foundation. We've got a mind for training. We've got this attitude of implementation. And then we've got to come in and must be constant in accountability. That's what the A stands for. Accountability. Spiritual foundation, training, implementation, and accountability. Notice I've said nothing about fiscal literacy Yeah, we need to know our stuff, but you know what? You can find that. You can find that on Khan Academy. You can find that in an online course. How do you read a P&L? How do you run a budget? How do you run a forecast? How do you do QuickBooks? Those tutorials are online. You can find all that stuff. But you know what you can't find online? Is what it looks like to have a spiritual foundation. What it looks like to have that mindset that's constantly implementing and training and accountability. And so when we look at this issue of accountability, it finally ends with what I call, this is a little bit odd, but it is our awareness of our Dave Ramsey-ness. What in the heck do I mean by that? Some of you know who Dave Ramsey is, some of you don't. You can just insert the name of somebody who's very influential in your life. They're kind of well known. Yeah, you may not be well known to the masses around the world, but you know what? You're well known to a local few. And if you're a small business owner, we've got to remember that the employees in our business see us differently than they see other employees. You've got to be aware that there is some level of aura, not arrogance, but there is some level of, oh, that's the guy who owns the company? Oh, okay. That kind of mindset, we have to constantly be aware of it because we can abuse it if we're not careful. And so we've got to be thoughtful. We've got to be mindful that we wield a level of authority that sometimes we can abuse, but most times what we want to do is use it for the value and the benefit of other people. That's why we take this role so serious. And so as a business owner, I hope you'll think through having a spiritual foundation. I hope you'll think through this attitude of constantly training. I hope you'll think through having a mindset of implementation and accountability. There's one thing I left out, and that's repetition. Over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. Repetition is the mother of all learning, as my first ever Pfizer manager used to tell me. And be aware of that Dave Ramsey-ness. Be aware of that aura that you carry. You're not magic. You're not better than anybody. But other people perceive you as different. Use that with care. Use that in a mindset of service. And if you do that, if you hold to a spiritual foundation, if you hold to this idea of training, to implementation, to accountability, and to repetition, and then being mindful and thoughtful about how you're stewarding the position, the role you're in, you're going to do just fine as a heroic small business owner. Thank you for allowing us the seat at this table in the role that we play in your life. We really, really appreciate it, and we don't take it for granted. mybusinessonpurpose.com/vision. We'll see you next time right here on the Business on Purpose podcast.